Hey race fans, Alex Weaver here with America's crew chief Larry McReynolds. We are in Carson, California, which is the home base of the Goodyear blimp, also known as Wingfoot 1. You see it behind us. Larry Mack, we're standing here with the tires, both for the past generation, the Gen 6 car, and the next gen car. First and foremost, pretty cool day we have planned with Goodyear, right?
Well, it is, and you think about what Goodyear has meant to NASCAR. They've been a part of the sport since 1954, which, by the way, was well before I was born, and I never worked on a car that raced on the beach. But I think the biggest point about Goodyear, like race teams like NASCAR, they never quit developing. No matter how much went into the development of the next gen car, Alex, without Goodyear being on board to develop a tire for it, it was not going to happen. I've said many times, we see these big old 3,500-pound race cars, but the only thing that connects it to that racetrack are the 4 Goodyear tires. So it was important that the tire be developed, or it was going to be all for naught.
All right, well, we're about to see these Goodyear Eagles soar on the track, but let's break down the difference between these tires. We have the Gen 6 car and the next gen car tire, so what's the difference? Yeah,
there's a couple of differences. I think one thing you'll see with the next gen car, it's just a little bit wider than the tire we raced last year. We're not talking about a lot, but what that does, it puts more footprint of the tire, more contact patch on the racetrack, and when you do that, there's more grip to it. The other difference, as you can see, they're kind of the same height. There's not a big difference, but when you look at the hole where the rim goes, it's much bigger on the next gen tire. It's because last year, the diameter of the steel rim was 15 inches. For the next gen car that we're going to have an aluminum rim, it's 3 inches bigger in diameter, which is 18 inches, and that makes a much narrower sidewall, kind of more of a look of a passenger car. We call it a low profile tire.
All right, well, I know these low-profile tires are similar in the sense of the next-gen car looking more like what us race folks at home see on the streets and in our garages, but these tires are different than what we put on our cars. How so?
Yeah, it's very different, but it's very simple. When you look at the race tire, it's slick. There's no tread whatsoever. If you tried to race this on the streets or the highway, you'd be sliding around everywhere, especially if there was any moisture whatsoever. One reason we run a slick tire is because I talked about the footprint of the contact patch. It puts more rubber on the racetrack. Now remember this, when we do race in wet weather, which is mainly on the road courses should we have some moisture or rain, those tires are treaded. But the minute the track dries up, we have to get them off there because they would wear so fast because there's less rubber on the racetrack.
We also know that race teams are flying through these tire sets pretty quickly during a race. Why is that?
Well, and it's kind of track specific. And a lot has to do with how much the tire wears over the course of a run or how much it slows down on the stopwatch. And the best example I can give you, Alex, Atlanta Motor Speedway. That track had not been resurfaced since 1997. It was abrasive, it was wore out, so the tire wear was way up and the give up. That's why if we ran 8 or 10 laps and a caution came back out, everybody came back to pit road and got 4 more Goodyear race tires. Now we have that new surface. It has a lot of grip. The wear is not going to be near as great, and it's not going to give up that much over the course of a long run. I heard maybe on a 30 or 40 lap run, it only had about a half a second of give out, so it's more track specific as to how often you want to put 4 more fresh tires on there.
We have a couple weeks before we'll see that in action in Atlanta, and the season kicks off this year at the LA Coliseum. I know we're really excited. We're not far from the Coliseum right now, but what can we expect from these Goodyear Eagles in the LA Coliseum?
Well, it's a great question, and there is a bit of an unknown there. I go back to my years as a crew chief. If we were going to a new racetrack that nobody had tested, Goodyear had not been able to do a tire test, which is the case of that quarter-mile track over there at the Coliseum, you would have to put me in a padded room, probably along with all the other crew chiefs and probably the Goodyear engineers because of the unknown. But we have so much more knowledge about the development of the Goodyear race tire. They have a lot more knowledge about the asphalt itself. And Goodyear, you and I were there at Bowman Gray in Winston-Salem, North Carolina back in the fall. They did a tire test. They took that information along with samples of the asphalt put down at the Coliseum, and that's how they came up with a tire that we're going to run. Tire wear probably will be up a little bit in the beginning, but the good thing is we got some practice, get a little rubber down on that racetrack, and that will kind of help the tire wear.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to these Goodyear Eagles hitting the track. But Larry Mack, you're my racing encyclopedia, but what do you say we take to the blimp and get in the air?
Oh, I'm going to do it. I've never done it. I've always wanted to do it. I can't wait.
All right, well, make sure and tune in to myself and Larry Mack going up in the blimp web behind the scenes from Wingfoot 1, and then tune in this Sunday for the race at the LA Coliseum. We're clashing in Los Angeles.